Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you all for joining this session. I hope you are able to hear me. Once again, welcome to this discussion session. This basically is meant for BS in Electronic Systems. This is a new program we launched this year from IIT Madras. Before we start the discussion session, I would like to welcome our program coordinators, Professor Aniruddhan, Professor Bobby George, and also I would like to welcome Professor Janaki Raman from Electrical Engineering Department from IIT Madras. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this session. I now hand over the session to Professor Bobby George. So the agenda will be like this. We will have a discussion about the program and various aspects of the program, and also in between and later we will answer some of the questions that we have received from you all, and we'll also try to answer some of the questions that we will receive through YouTube. So thank you very much for joining once again. Welcome, and over to you, Professor Bobby. You are on mute. We are not able to hear.
Yeah, are you able to hear us now?
Yes, Professor. Now we can hear.
Okay, yeah, Bobby, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm Bobby, and we have Janaki Raman and Aniruddhan here. So basically, I have gone through most of the questions asked by the potential students. And what I thought is, I will share those questions. I being a student, I will ask to Aniruddhan or Janaki Raman. That's how it is planned. So let me start.
Hi, Bobby.
IIT Madras started the data science program in 2020.
Yeah, in 2020 during the pandemic, yes.
But data science has been here, in the department. We were teaching, and the theory was available and so on. Why it took some time to, make it available in this form?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, actually. It's not just, last couple of years that we were teaching, right? If you look at the history of neural networks and the history of data science in general, the theory has been around for more than like 4 or 5 decades, right? Neural networks was very popular in the 80s, 90s. A lot of results were published then, right? But what is it that has made a revolution in AI possible in the current scenario, right? And why did IIT Madras launch data science in 2020 and not even in 2010, right? And the answer to that is very simple. It is the hardware that has actually enabled massive computation in a very efficient manner in the recent times. Okay, and the way if you look at the an IBM processor, for example, right, the P series processor, it has like 8 billion transistors today, right? And packing so many transistors in, and you're able to do so many computations, right, in a matter of seconds, right? And that has precisely what has enabled data science or deep learning for that matter, right? So today I would audaciously make a statement that data science is not possible without an electronic system to support it.
Okay, so that's the point.
Yes, that is the point, and which is why I would say that electronic systems is an equally important field that students should be aware of in this AI revolution era.
Great. I got, yeah. Okay. So now, see, this electronics is fast growing and so on. We read in newspaper. where are we in India? Maybe Anirudhan can give some idea as far as the electronics growth is concerned, the manufacturing sector is concerned. Where are we in India?
Absolutely. So actually, thanks for asking that question. If you look at the electronics field, there are various aspects of hardware systems that get clubbed under the electronics umbrella. So there is the building of the device itself, which can be either a standalone single device, or it can be in the form of an integrated circuit. And then once you have individual components and integrated circuits, you now start to build bigger systems. So bigger electronic systems that become useful for specific applications. Now, India actually has been active in each one of these umbrellas, sections of these umbrellas for actually several decades. The interesting thing is, over the years, the manufacturing sector, manufacturing of components, devices, as well as specific types of devices, as well as systems, has been on the upswing for several years now, especially over the last 10-15 years. And very recently, it is looking to, for example, in the diode curve, we talk about a knee point, right?
Correct.
It looks like it is, kind of growing at some certain rate, and suddenly it starts going up very quickly. So many of us feel that we are actually at that point right now, where it's going to grow almost exponentially in the next, few years or even decades, I would say.
Okay.
And this has also been helped along more recently by several aspects of support, supporting aspects from, let's say, from the government as well as from the industry. For example, there is an India semiconductor mission that has been launched by the government of India very recently to support integrated circuit fabrication and manufacturing. Similarly, for manufacturing of electronic components, devices, systems, they have given performance-linked incentives. They have been trying for several years to get, academia and industry to collaborate together to accelerate this effect. So I would say, looking at all of these things, we are, I would say, poised to kind of hit very strong growth, very fast growth, right, over the next few years.
So this means there will be a lot of job opportunities in this sector.
Absolutely. And that is what is most critical about this electronic systems program, because we have designed this program such that it is highly scalable and also gives industry ready skills, right? We teach them the basics as well as very focused advanced topics to make sure that they can, as soon as they graduate from this program, they will be able to hit the ground running, as the Americans say, right? So you'll be able to start working on your project as soon as you join the company.
Great. So you're saying that we were always, we have been actively involved in design, but now manufacturing also you see a growth and job opportunities.
That is absolutely correct.
Okay, great.
I have a different question. Somehow I cleared JEE mains. Can I take this course? Can I join for this program?
So if you have, actually, I'll take a step back.
Sure.
Anybody who wants can actually apply to join this program. You are not limited by JEE at all.
Okay.
So first of all, anybody independent of age, employment criteria, etc., can take up this program. You don't have to be a student.
So after +2?
After +2, anybody can take this.
Maths, physics, chemistry.
Exactly.
Okay.
The only constraint is that we expect them to have 12th standard level maths, physics, chemistry knowledge.
Okay.
There is a very specific reason for this, because the kind of, for example, for semiconductors, you will need a little bit of chemistry and a little bit of mathematics to understand the analysis of these devices. To understand, certain aspects of circuits and circuit design, you will need to understand mathematics. To understand the operation of some of these devices, maybe electromagnetics, you need to understand physics. So, which is why we expect some basic background. Unfortunately, without one of these, without either maths, physics, or chemistry, without these three at the high school level, it is going to be hard for you to cope up with the electronics. But once you have this, there is no restriction.
Okay.
Now coming to your question on where JEE figures in this program. So a normal student who applies for this program will have to study the first month's lectures and write a set of do the assignments for we have an assignment every week. They will have to do 4 weeks worth of assignments and then write an exam in the 4 subjects in the first term.
It's an exam, not an entrance.
It's not an entrance.
Okay.
It is just an exam. And we will also say you need to have completed these assignments and do sufficiently well in this exam. And once you do that, you are assumed to have been converted to become a full-time student.
Okay.
That is all. Now, where JEE comes in is that, as many students might know, JEE mains and your 12th standard marks are used to decide whether you get admitted into, let's say, central universities, NITs,
Correct.
IITs, etc. Now, for IITs, they use only JEE Advanced.
Yeah.
A certain number of people who are at the top of JEE mains are said to have qualified for JEE Advanced.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those students, this year, for example, the top 2.5 lakh students from JEE mains are said to have qualified for JEE Advanced. Those students, just like, many of those students might have applied and joined the BS in Electronic Systems program, they do not have to, they are assumed to have been automatically qualified.
Okay.
If you have qualified to write JEE Advanced exam, you are assumed to have qualified for the Electronic Systems program.
Okay.
There is no separate entrance exam. So, like I said, anybody can apply. The only thing is we want to make sure that they study the first month's material, do the assignment, and
so they
learn
still
the
need to
material.
study that portion.
They still need to study. That is very important.
Okay.
So this is not an elimination-based exam as something like JEE is.
That
right?
is correct.
It's a qualification-based progress. As and when you complete courses, you just go to the next level. You
That is
keep going,
absolutely correct.
and if you complete enough number of courses, you get a degree.
That
Right?
is correct.
Okay.
So I was just thinking, see, data science, if I have a laptop, probably I can start learning. But for this program, there will be some laboratory component.
Yeah, absolutely. So the moment you talk about electronics in general, you have to get your hands dirty with ICs, components, resistors, capacitors. You blow some up, you'll replace them, you learn all that, right? And all of this is part of the learning. So this program, the BS in Electronic Systems, provides you the laboratory experience, though not in a physical laboratory, right? We do give you all the experience that is needed to handle these components, perform these experiments. These are not simulation-based experiments.
Real
right?
experiments.
These are real experiments,
By
right?
the way, I heard some of your students have done laboratory at their hostels.
Exactly.
How did you?
Exactly. So one thing that IIT has been looking to do for a long time is to see how we can scale this, laboratory experiments, because the real estate is a problem even in IIT, right? So we want to see if we can optimize this a little bit. And one of the things that we found is, there are hardware kits which are available that actually replace an oscilloscope and a signal generator and a power supply, right?
Okay.
Power supply is essentially your mobile charger these days. You just plug that in and you get a power supply, right? But the oscilloscope and signal generator has been replaced by these kits that simply talk to your computer.
Okay.
So just like in data science, if you have a laptop and you have this extra kit, you can do all these experiments from home. So the experiment that is being done right now is a couple of students are actually doing their traditional lab experiments from their hostels.
Okay, great.
Right. And I also have preliminary results from there. they find it easier to do it on these kits in some cases. So the learning is not just the same. In some cases, it is easier.
Easier,
right?
I understand. But at the same time, what's the learning experience? I mean, see, otherwise, three of them may be doing it in a lab.
Yes.
In a 3 hours period, somehow finish, show the results, and so compared to that, will this give them, more better learning or?
Correct. So to get you an answer for that, I need to wait for this lab experiment to be completed, and then I can give you a comprehensive summary of that. But in general, in the electronic systems program, the way it has been planned is a kit can be used at home to do the experiments, but the evaluation of the lab will happen in IIT Madras.
Okay.
Right? Students will come down, and there will be 1 or 2 weeks in which they will interact with their peers.
Okay.
Right. So that part of learning also. So a lot of you might face similar problems that you are not able to solve from home.
So I can come to campus every semester.
Yes, you can, right? And it's every semester you will come. You can actually finish some evaluations here, right? But slowly with time you'll get better, with these kits, and you can start doing them from home.
Okay. Well. So when I do it from home, if I face some struggles, can I get some help?
Absolutely. So this is the era of do-it-yourself videos. You give today you give a 6-year-old a mobile phone and a video. I tell you, the kid will figure out what has to be done. Right? Okay. This generation simply knows what to do. You just need to provide them with demonstration videos and some hints, and they will just go ahead and do it. Right? And I'm pretty confident that even if there are issues, we do have instructor support. We do have live sessions where we can discuss common problems. We will, show a camera on our kit here where we fix such a problem and demonstrate.
So if I struggle, I can share my screen to somebody here in IIT Madras and say, see, these are my problems.
Exactly.
So I can get.
Yes.
Okay.
So there are people called instructors who are sort of going to give you some specific, interaction sessions, and they'll conduct interaction sessions. You can always, like you said, share the screen, show them what the problem is, and all that will be sorted out.
Very good. Very good. Now I have a different question. See, I started some degree already, let's say physics. Can I do this? Maybe Anirudhan can answer. Can I do this BS program parallelly?
Oh, that's a very good question. Yes, the simple answer is yes, you can.
Okay.
Right. So we have designed this program such that the pace of the program the pace with which you undertake this electronic systems program is completely set by the student.
Okay.
So let us say you're already doing some other undergraduate course in some college or university. You are welcome to do this as a part-time. Even though you're doing it online, you can choose to do. So even though we have given a nominal curriculum saying in one term, maybe there may be 4 courses, you can choose to do 1, 2, or 3 courses, fewer number of courses than what is defined in the nominal curriculum. So the way the curriculum is defined is for a full-time student to complete the degree in 4 years. You are welcome to do this part-time. So maybe one particular term, you have very tough courses in your undergraduate. So you want to take it a little bit easy here, and you want to catch up the next term. That is definitely possible.
Okay.
So what we want to do is maybe you do only 1 or 2 courses in the present term. You do 3 or 4 4 courses in the next term. So that is definitely possible.
So this means I know some of my friends, they are working in company. So they can also.
Yes.
do. Okay.
Yes. Very definitely. So in fact, one of the big pluses of this program is that, so as I said earlier, people of any age can take it, and even if you're employed. So there are no specific class timings. So you can work from 9 to 6, 8 to 6, and then afterwards, evenings, nights, weekends, you can see the videos, learn, and most importantly, you can upskill as you are working.
Okay.
So for example, there may be somebody who is working in a different type of job, not related to electronics, but they want to shift to electronics. There may be somebody who's been working in electronics, but want to refresh their basic skills. There may be somebody who is maybe working in one area of electronics. So let us say they are working on systems, but they want to learn IC design.
Okay.
Right. So there are various different possibilities and aspects. And in fact, this particular program has several different degrees as well. So the 4-year BS degree is the primary degree, but there are multiple exits apart from the,
multiple exits.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So
what is that?
In the first, like in any traditional program, in the first few terms, you start from basics. So you learn some basic mathematics, maybe a little bit of humanities to round out your curriculum. And then you start from very, very basic electrical circuit theory, maybe, some analysis of signals. Then you move to understand electronics, build more complicated circuits, application circuits and so on. So you kind of build up. So if you do the first 9 courses, you can get what is called a foundational certificate.
Okay.
So in other words, you have built imagine it's a pyramid, right? You have built the bottom part of the foundation of the structure. Then after that, you get a foundational certificate from code section of IIT Madras. If you do a few more courses, so you do after little bit more than 2 years, you can get a diploma from IIT Madras. And if you do all 4 years, you can get a 4-year BS degree, Bachelor of Science degree.
So after the diploma, if I want to join for a job, I can.
Yes, but we would encourage you to go in for the full 4-year BS degree, because a lot of the more advanced material that will be very useful for your job, you will find in the later semesters. And later semesters also have a lot of electives. So if you like specific areas of electronic systems, you can choose to study those areas. And of course, most importantly, very often, the number of jobs, as you take more electives, you can study more areas of electronic systems. The number of companies, the variety of jobs that you can apply for will be much larger.
Okay. So when it comes to electives, Janaki Raman, for example, you specialize in various.
Can I add just one more point to this thing? So Anirudhan spoke about the self-paced program, right? So I think here there is one more class of students who will really benefit from this. Those who are looking to pursue arts, sports, or literature, the alternate careers. One is, of course, science. But when you're looking for alternate careers where jobs are not very clear, right? We tend to keep one foot in science or engineering where we can get a job. And such a degree is ideally suited for you because it is self-paced. If you, for example, have tournaments to play in a particular semester, you do fewer courses. The other semester, you do more courses. Likewise for musicians, artists, whatever it is, right? You can actually choose. And I think maybe we will discuss the fee structure also, which is very sort of advantageous to this, right? Because the question I had was, if I choose to do only one course, how much do I have to pay for that semester?
Approximately.
Okay. So in a regular university, if you go, you actually, independent of whether you're taking 1 course, 2 courses, or 5 courses, or 10 courses, you pay the same amount of fees
per semester.
Per semester. So if you are enrolled in that semester, you have to pay a fixed amount.
Yeah.
Whereas in this BS program, what we have done is that you will pay, because it's a self-paced program, we have structured the cost differently. You will pay depending on how many courses, and in fact, we have a credit-based system in this program. So depending, each course has a unique course credit structure as well. So some courses may require a lot of work and maybe several lecture classes. It may also have a lab component. It may have homeworks, assignments where you're expected to spend a lot of time. So there is the credit structure is based on many of these aspects put together. So what happens is, depending on the number of credits of that course, you will be paying your fees based on how many credits you take in a given semester.
Okay.
And for the electronic systems program, in the first year, for example,
Okay.
I can tell you that you will be per course on the average little bit less than 10,000 rupees per course.
So approximately 10,000.
Approximately 10,000 rupees per course.
Okay, so essentially, if I say I pursue this for 1 year and then I find there's another career which is suited for me, I'm done with just like maybe 80,000 rupees, and there's no money locked in anywhere.
That is absolutely
Right?
correct.
Okay, that's a very advantageous thing. Yes.
Yeah, I'll go back to this question.
Yes.
So Ani was talking about the specialization, and you are in the VLSI domain.
Yeah.
So as a student, will I get the opportunity to specialize in VLSI by doing this program?
Yeah. So just like the engineering course here, right? There is a lot of flexibility in what kind of electives you choose. Right?
Okay.
There is essentially first 2 years we have some reasonably rigid structure because we want you to sort of upskill in certain areas. And if you want to leave with a diploma, then you need certain skills.
Correct.
Right? All that is taken care of in the first 2 years. And after that, you have a lot of flexibility in choosing electives that you want. And since the VLSI design industry in India has been very popular and has been very active, naturally we will have a lot of courses in the design space as well. And you'll have a lot of choice. So you can technically choose your career specialization in your own way.
So VLSI is one of those.
VLSI is one of them. Yes.
Right. I have one more question. See, I know there are a lot of jobs in the software domain. So after doing this program, if I want to get those jobs, is that possible?
Absolutely. So again, here, if you look at, you look at a regular placement from IIT or anywhere, right? People from various streams, not just electronics, from civil, mechanical, are taking up software jobs, essentially because the curriculum trains them in software programming in general. We teach them. So here in BS in electronic systems, we do teach you Python, we do teach you C programming and all that. So your programming skills in general, and I would not even tie it to a particular language. Once your algorithmic thinking is in place and you know how to program in one language, picking up another language is very, very simple, right? So therefore, you are definitely going to be skilled enough to even take up a software job, right? And proceed down that career as well.
Interesting. I was going through the curriculum and I see that we also learn a lot of electronics, hardware, and so on. So if I'm looking at the software job, so the skills and fundamentals I get from the hardware side, will it be useful?
Okay, so I think this is again a very nuanced question. So if you look at the hardware industry itself, that also involves a lot of programming and software, right? Right from IC testing, IC design, there is a lot of automation and programming that is needed out there as well. So, or an FPGA, for example, right? If you look at programming FPGAs, that is a lot of software, right? Now, what is the difference between a software company and a hardware software this thing, right? So when you're writing software for a particular hardware, you need to be aware of what the hardware does or what the hardware provides, right? And only then, so you can't just write any piece of code, any Verilog code and have it synthesized on an FPGA. You might not have the resources, you might not have coded it correctly. So what we teach you is, the optimizations that are required to actually sit on a hardware by understanding what the hardware provides.
Okay.
And usually the general purpose microprocessor, right, on which people do most software coding is is just one kind of hardware. So once you understand these ideas, you will be able to adapt to that, paradigm as well.
So since I have the hardware understanding, I may be able to make use of it the best.
Exactly. You will not only make use, in some cases, the code will just not work if you're not aware of it. Right? Because we are not talking of implementing adders and multipliers.
Correct.
We're talking of implementing big systems And if you do not know how to do it, your resource utilization and all that can just go out of the window. And therefore, you will not be able to get anything working. Great.
So I just wanted to add one single point. So this combination of hardware and software, of course, is very important in modern, very complicated electronic systems. And that I feel is a very unique aspect of this BS in electronic systems, because a lot of the course content and the way we have structured the program, some of these skills you will normally not find in other ECE, EEE type of programs, where you learn you learn a little bit of software, but completely divorced from the actual engineering aspects, right?
Yes.
So this I feel is a unique aspect of this program, and that is kind of ties into making this what we call industry ready skills, right? The reason we feel this program will make you completely hireable by the electronics industry is because we are giving you skills that you cannot get in other ECE programs.
Right. By the way, is the course going to be very tough?
Well, I think any course, anything you want to do is going to be deep, it's going to be involved, and it requires a lot of effort, right? No one is sort of hiding from that fact. However, even though the concepts are difficult, the curriculum is structured that in a way that we go hierarchically. We get you ready so that you can grasp those complicated concepts and apply them on some real-time physical systems that you see.
So I can learn at my pace and then.
Exactly. So you can learn at your pace. You cannot proceed to the next course without completing certain earlier courses. So therefore, once that is done well, then automatically those harder concepts just appear simpler to you at that point.
Okay.
Now, if you look at it, it will be very hard.
Understood.
But at that point, it will not appear that hard.
Okay. So the material and then assignments,
pedagogy, all that will come into simplify it.
Thank you. I think I have addressed most of the questions I received earlier from the students. We will go back to Girish.
Yeah.
Girish, so if there are questions that you have not touched, or if there are new questions, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I think you have answered most of the questions that we have received. We still have some questions. Maybe you can answer some of them. So the first one is, how is this different from BTech program? If this question is not answered, I think you can answer this. This is actually one of the common questions that we get through calls, through mails, and so on.
Okay. So actually, I would say, I will compare it to IIT's BTech. I'll make a comparison between IIT BTech in electrical engineering and this BS in electronic systems program. So if I make a direct comparison, our own BTech gives you a base from which you can pretty much focus, learn, go in depth into almost any area of modern electrical engineering, whether it is electrical machines, electrical power systems, power electronics, semiconductors, circuits, either design, fabrication, it could be anything, or it could be communications, signal processing, information theory, and so on. So electrical engineering is probably in the top, the top, or probably the top few programs which are very, very broad in engineering. Electronic systems, this BS in electronic systems program kind of tends to focus on the electronics aspect, right? So a course like, for example, let us say semiconductor devices would be a core course in a BTech, is a core course in the BTech program. Whereas it is not a core course here. You will learn the same thing as part of an electives, because we are concentrating on the electronic systems aspect. not necessarily each component. However, whatever is required to completely understand the electronic systems devices, we will teach you as part of the electronics courses themselves. So from that point of view, this BS program is kind of a more focused version compared to the BTech program. Number two, I think maybe some students are focusing on that BTech, the tech part of BTech versus the Bachelor of Science. Now, for that aspect, I'll just point out two things. I think number one, because there happens to be a ruling that we cannot legally use, give an online degree based on, an online BTech or BE degree. Therefore, the students have to be given a different degree. And naturally, this is, at the end of the day, science, it's an applied science. Engineering, after all, is an applied science. So a BS degree, is a very apt degree for these students. Yeah. Now, the reason for choosing technology in IITM is a little bit different, right? So there, you want to learn engineering in its most basic form, broad-based, but also some focus is also there on more modern technical aspects of it. Okay. Therefore, IIT chose to have a BTech. So as far as the industry goes, I would say, since you are doing a 4-year bachelor's degree, the industry would not directly differentiate it from other BE and BTech degrees.
Yeah. So I guess one more difference is the fact that there are multiple exit options in terms of a diploma. The courses are slightly restructured so that you can leave with a diploma after 2 years, whereas the BTech is a 4-year program. You have to do it for 4 years, and therefore that is structured slightly differently.
That is correct. Absolutely correct.
There is one question. This qualifier exam and JEE Advanced, is it somewhat similar?
Okay. Maybe I'll answer that.
Yes.
So actually, the qualifier is not a separate exam in this BS in Electronic Systems program. The qualifier is not a separate exam. It's not a separate entrance exam. You will be doing so. For example, in the curriculum, there are 4 courses in the first semester. You are expected to study the first month's material, do the assignments, and write the quiz, which is basically a periodical exam.
Okay.
Which normal students who are doing that course will be doing anyways. And once you earn a certain set of marks in these 4 courses, in those exams and the assignments, you are deemed to have been qualified. It's an inbuilt qualifier. There is no separate qualifying exam. Now, the only difference is that we have said that students who have done well in JEE mains, in other words, are automatically assumed to have been qualified. They are not directly tied together. We are just saying that if you are, qualified to write JEE Advanced, you can continue as usual.
Okay.
Right?
So
that is the only.
So in some sense, they still do the same course.
Yes.
They still take the same quiz.
Absolutely.
Right?
They will still do the same assignments, study the same material, write the same quizzes.
Yeah, it's just okay. So this is just an alternate way of qualifying for the next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Also, I think the intention of the question was the difficulty level. JEE Advanced has a different difficulty level.
Okay.
What is expected in terms of the qualifier exam?
Right. So the qualifier exam, we don't expect it to be as difficult as JEE Advanced, for sure.
So it is like any other course exam.
It is just like any other course exam.
I study something.
That is
See
correct.
whether I can pass or not.
That is correct.
Yeah, and again, we are not trying to eliminate.
Correct.
So therefore, there is no, intention of making it hard so that the numbers are limited.
Yes.
We are trying to test your learning, your concepts. If you have understood those concepts, you just proceed. Right? That's all.
So one other thing, JEE Advanced is actually an open-ended exam. So you have maths, physics, chemistry, but pretty much they give you don't know what to expect.
Yes.
Right? Whereas here you will be tested on what you learned in the first month.
The first 4 months. Exactly. And how difficult can that be? Right?
Yes.
So
Girish, please.
Yeah. So thanks so much. So the next question is kind of related. So the question is, can I do a MTech after this, or can I do a higher studies in some other foreign university after doing this program? So this is a very common question again that we get from candidates.
Yeah. So
And can I do GATE? Can I take up GATE exam after this? So these are some of the questions.
Sure. Yeah. So I think this is a very valid and a very good question. So like we said, right, the way the curriculum has been defined is essentially the first 2 years, you do some basic courses where you can equip yourself with certain skills for the diploma and all that. But once you cross that 2-year boundary, you are essentially now you have, your own specialization and other things that you can choose, right? And there we will tell you what courses to take, so that you can essentially attempt GATE, get an MTech admission, or apply for an MS elsewhere and all that. So effectively, like Aniruddhan was mentioning earlier, by the end of your BS, it will not be very different from a BTech or a BE. So you will be completely equipped to pursue higher studies in India and abroad alike.
So I just wanted to add two aspects, because Girish also said one of the students had a question about the GATE exam.
Yeah.
So the GATE exam has 3 papers, which is ECE, EEE, and instrumentation.
Yeah.
So the idea is that we will, the students of this program will most likely be able to write the instrumentation and ECE papers.
Yeah.
The only thing that we tell you is that some of the aspects, for example, let's take ECE as an example. We will not be learning communication theory.
Yeah.
We will not be learning semiconductor devices, solid state devices, for example. So those aspects that are required for the GATE exam will have to be taken up by the students as electives.
Yes.
And we do have a lot of electives available to the students in this BS program in the curriculum. So the only thing is, after learning electronic systems, let's say the core courses for the first 5 semesters, they will start having electives starting from the 5th, 6th semesters. They will have to use some of those electives to learn, let's say probability, electromagnetics. Electromagnetics we are covering. Right. But then let's say there are some aspects of electromagnetics. If GATE exam has a wider syllabus, they might have to make it up. Maybe communication theory, solid state devices. These are the kind of aspects that they will have to use electives to target.
So essentially, we'll give a recommended recipe, right? Of
that
these
is correct.
Courses.
That is correct.
If you want to pursue an MTech or write GATE, then do these courses, and that is covered. Right?
That is correct. Yeah, that is correct. So one last thing, the question of whether the BS degree is recognized by other universities. So this is so normally what happens is that when you apply for a master's or a PhD, individual universities decide what kind of degrees they recognize, what range of degrees they recognize, and in India what GATE paper. You have 3 papers, right? ECE, EEE, and IN. Individual universities decide, and maybe individual departments in some universities decide. From IIT Madras's side, we, I think we want to emphasize that we completely stand behind the quality and rigor of this BS program in electronic systems. And we are happy to, we are happy to write to, other organizations to encourage them. We will request them to include this program in their list of approved degrees, for example, for their graduate studies.
Yeah. Thank you so much. In fact, by answering this question, you have already answered another related question, which is again, which is very common. In fact, we have been answering this question again and again in the previous interaction session as well. So that is whether after doing this program, can I write other government exams such as UPSC and all? I think, I don't think you need to answer this again, because you already answered this question by in the previous question. So thanks for that. And the next question is, So this is a question again from YouTube chat. I took this. This is a question from Abhi. In fact, this is not actually a question. He's asking some suggestion. He's asking whether is it advisable to do only this program without doing any other degree. So do you want to answer this? So in fact, I would like to just give a just some explanation. So we also have another program, BS in Data Science. We have some students who are doing this program alone without doing any other program. But we also have students, a lot of students who are doing this program along with another degree. So we have both category of students. So that being the background, would you like to answer this question from Abhi? Do you prefer, do you advise me to pursue this course alone?
Yeah, so I think from a rigor perspective, right, there is no difference. You are absolutely, you will be as ready as a student who pursues BTech or BE for 4 years. I mean, if you complete the 4-year BS program, you will be as ready as any other student pursuing BTech or BE. And you'll be ready for the job, ready for higher studies. So there is no issue on that front. That we can vouch for it. We can guarantee. In terms of jobs and other things, of course, because, even our own BTech BE students, it depends on the market at that particular time and all that. So as an academic institution, I can only say that, we have run this program by a lot of industry experts. We have their backing. We have got their feedback in order to design the curriculum. So we are absolutely sure that we are getting students ready with the right skills and that match what the industry wants, right? But there's only so much guarantee that we can give about, getting a job, because that depends on other factors like the market and the economy and all that. But rigor wise, it's absolutely the same. And I can strongly suggest you're free to go ahead and do only this program and nothing else.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's
so maybe Girish, I'll just add one more point to that. So
yes,
just one thing, the curriculum, as you can see, has been built such that it is a standalone 4-year program, right? The way we have built the curriculum, you're doing, 4 or 5 courses, 6, maybe 4 theory plus 2 lab, right? So it is built as a it's assumed that you're doing this full time. Yeah. That is the way I would think of it. Correct. Right? Any other self-pacing that you might do or part-time that you might do is over and beyond that. Yeah. Right? That is the way that is what I would say.
Also, it is up to the individual.
It is up to the individual.
So if I feel like doing 2.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Absolutely. So that is a very good point. So Abhi, we do not know your specific situation, so we cannot advise in a very specific way.
Yeah.
What we can say, I guess the summary is that we stand behind the quality and rigor, right? The curriculum has clearly been defined as a 4-year program. So the assumption is people are doing it full time, right? So from those points of view, I hope it answers, in general. We are not able to give a specific advice, right, in this to a specific student without knowing more details of those circumstances.
So there is a question. See, I am already studying one course or one program, and for that there are some lab, so there are some projects to be submitted. So I have to be around the university, and I know that I may have to come to the IIT Madras in the summer or winter for 2 weeks. So will I get an option to select the slot in which I can come, so that I will not have any problem in the university where I'm studying now?
So that's a very good question. So what we have is we have in between terms, there will be a period of, let us say, 1.5 to 2 months. And we expect each student to be here maybe for 2 weeks. So among these, let's say 8 weeks or 9 weeks, you will be free to choose any 2 weeks as per your convenience.
Okay.
So that is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. In fact, I was about to ask that question. So you asked this. So the next question is, this I think maybe I can answer and I can add on to this. So how are classes conducted? So this is again a very common question. Just to answer this. So the entire program comprises of various courses, and every course will probably say, for example, each course is 12 weeks. Every course will have video lectures by IIT professors, and you will have to go through those videos, learn from them, and assignments. Take up the assignments. We will have assignments every week, and for every course you will have 2 quiz and 1 end-term exam. While the assignments are online, the quizzes and end-term exams are in person at designated exam centers. We have exam centers in almost all states in India, and we have more than 180 exam centers in India. In fact, we have some exam centers in other countries as well. You can see those details in our website. And these are the only offline areas apart from the lab work that professors already spoke about. Otherwise, you can study at home or anywhere at your convenience. You don't have to come to IIT Madras campus for studying. So this is what I would like to say. So shall I move to the next question?
Yeah, and just to add on, the exams will be on a Sunday. It will not interfere with your regular college.
Yeah, that was actually another question.
Yes. Okay. These exams, none of this thing will interfere with any designated slot or time schedule that you are actually doing in the weekdays.
It will be on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. So the next question is, will there be some live classes? So again, I will answer this and then you can add on to this. So for every course, we will have live session. Minimum 1 live session will be there for every course. That live session is basically is a session for clarifying the doubts and questions that you have. Based on the difficulty and complexity of the course, we may have more number of live sessions, but minimum is 1 live session. Definitely we will have for every course.
1 live session per week.
Yeah, generally per course is something that we tell, yes, per week also we can, based on the complexity and difficulty of the course.
Clearing sessions are there.
Yeah. In addition to that, we also try to have some kind of workshops or some expert session from industries. All that we will definitely have in the program for all the levels, foundation, diploma, and degree level. So that is about the live session. So there are some questions related to fee and fee waiver. So I would like to tell that, in fact, this has already been answered. Just wanted to reiterate the point. The total fees, you don't have to pay the total fees, entire fees at once. You can pay in parts as per the course registration. For example, if you take 4 courses in a term, which is maximum courses that you can take in a term, if you take 4 courses, you will have to pay only for those 4 courses. If you are taking 2 courses, if you are registering for 2 courses in a term, you will only have to pay for those two courses. So you pay as you go, and you don't have to pay the entire fees. So that is something I want to tell. Next question.
Can I do the lab in another IIT?
Yes.
Not for now.
Yeah, right now, no, that's not possible. So you have to do this. But we are looking at ways to improve the, the lab aspect of the course.
Yeah.
To improve various aspects, the weekly learning, the evaluation, right? And, these kind of things, we are looking into it continuously. As of now, this evaluation, these lab class, lab, demonstrations can happen only in those 2 weeks you come here at the, end of the terms.
Yeah, there are some more questions which are kind of program related. That is, will I get an ID card? Will I get alumni status? Yes, you will get an e-copy of student ID card from IIT Madras. And yes, you will get an alumni status once you complete the BS degree. So this is again a common question. In fact, some of the parents who call us and who email us, one of the question is this a valid degree? So this is definitely a valid degree. It is approved by Senate of IIT Madras, and there is no need for any confusion with respect to the authenticity of this program. So I think we have covered most of the questions.
Just one question.
Yes, sir. Yes,
what
yes.
Is the credit? Because we said.
That's a good question, because in fact it's a very pertinent question, because we did say IIT follows a credit system. In the simplest way to answer this is that if you have approximately 1 hour of study or contact in the form of lectures or let us say assignments, in the presence of an instructor, that would be 1 credit.
Okay.
So in other words, if a professor in this, with respect to this DS and electronic systems,
in that, I mean,
per week, 1 hour per week, that is very important. That is right. So if the professor records the course such that there is approximately 3 hours of lectures in 1 week that the student has to study, the course is becomes a 3 credit course. Okay. And your degree, and in this case, your fees as well, are tied to the number of credits. So your foundational certificate, your diploma, and your 4-year BS degree are all tied to the number of credits that you complete. So if you do a 3 credit course in a particular term and pass that course, you are said to have completed those 3 credits. Okay. So now this becomes, a credit based degree.
Okay. So I think that's clear. Girish?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, thank you. I think we have covered most of the question. Maybe we can just take one question. I'm just trying to read that.
Girish, sorry, just one thing. Before we forget, can you also put down the website on the chat window so that people can check it out?
Sure.
Yeah,
yes.
A lot of these questions are actually answered there, right?
Yes, correct. So, and also we also have FAQ section in the website. Yes, Professor Bobby.
Yeah, I was just mentioning, let's say I would like to share it with my friends. So where can I get all this information? So that way this website will be very useful.
Yes, I'll be sharing now the website address. And maybe one last question we can take. Can I take a break in between this program? So say for example, a working professional for some work commitment they want to take, or a college student who wants to focus on the college for one particular term. Can I take a break?
So you can definitely go down to 1 course per term. But if you go to 0, then I think if you do 2 consecutive terms with 0 or something, then you sort of get dropped off the roll list, right? Which is the same case with our students here also. So you have to do some courses. Maybe it's okay to take 1 term off. I think that is okay.
That is correct,
right? But 2 terms and more than that becomes a problem.
It also becomes a problem for your learning as well.
Yeah.
Because there is a certain continuity that is lost.
Yes, thank you so much. We are on exactly 6:30. We had a great discussion and we were able to answer most of the question. I have mentioned the website address. Just before closing, I wanted to tell 1 or 2 points about the last date. The last date to apply for this program is June 25th. In case if you are joining through regular entry, that is non-JEE, you will have qualifier exam on 6th August. Otherwise, if you are joining through JEE entry mode, as Professor already told, you will be directly, you can get direct admission to this program. However, you will have to take quiz 1, which is part of the foundation level course itself. You don't have to take qualifier exam per se. So that is all from our side. Thank you all for joining this session. Thank you, professors, for this wonderful discussion. In fact, we were able to answer most of the question. Many candidates were asking same questions. So in a way, we have tried to answer. We tried to group them and answer those questions. Thank you once again, and thank you all participants, and thank you all those who are watching our session through YouTube. We will try our level best to have more and more such session. We have provided our contact details in our website. You can email us, you can call us anytime. We have provided the timings and provided the phone numbers and website details, and also the support email ID. So I will also mention the support email ID in this chat window, so that in case if you have some question, you can write to us. It is support@study.iitm.ac.in. So please make a note of this. In any case, it is available on our website. So thank you once again. Good evening and have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.